Severe weather chances for parts of Oklahoma will show you where, plus 2 breaking stories. A former OU student found guilty of felony assault and battery, and the state's tourism director steps down amid allegations of fraud inside his agency. This is OU Nightly. Hello, thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Dana Searles.
And I'm Roddy. Tonight we begin with the chance for severe weather in the state.
The OU Nightly weather team is keeping a close eye on things. Let's get the latest from Peyton Galyean.
Yes, severe storms are expected to impact us here in the metro tonight. You can see behind the dry line, fire weather is still the story out in western Oklahoma. They are very dry, still in very high drought monitors. Hopefully us tonight, we're going to get some relief as that rain makes its way through. But looking at our dew points, very high dew points, that is going to be fuel for this severe weather. You can actually see our dry line on this graphic. This is where storms are starting to pop up, especially down here, Lawton, behind the dry line where it is very dry in the teens. So coming up in Maine weather, I'm going to talk about your tornado threat tonight, your severe weather threat again on Sunday, and more severe storms going into next week.
Thanks, Peyton. After 4 days of testimonies, Gage Ford has been found guilty on all charges. He's the former OU student accused of felony assault and battery against his then-girlfriend, Allie Stevens, who is also an OU student. Stevens was pregnant at the time and has since then become a mother.
Rivera was at the Cleveland County Courthouse when the verdict was announced and joins us live with reactions. Dylan?
Today we heard the closing remarks from both the prosecution and the defense, and after 2.5 hours of deliberation, around 1:50 p.m., the jury of the Gage Ford trial reached a monumental verdict: guilty on all 3 counts. Ford was charged with assault and battery, likely to cause death, domestic assault by strangulation, likely to cause death, and a misdemeanor assault against a pregnant woman. The victim, Allie Stevens, saying after the verdict was announced that she just hopes she can be an inspiration to women who are in the shoes she once wore.
I'm just going to keep speaking out for people that can't. I just want to try to help the next person that I possibly can.
And what would you tell a woman today, right now, who's in the same situation that you're in?
Talk to people when you're ready. It doesn't have to be right now. It doesn't have to be next week. You can just do it whenever you feel comfortable.
The jury and the verdict is now up to Judge Balkman. He can decide to have Ford serve consecutive sentences, meaning he'll essentially spend his entire life in prison, or he can serve concurrently, with that being a minimum of 34 years plus parole. That sentencing will come in July, and OU Nightly will stay posted on that story, so you'll want to follow up with us in the summer. Reporting live from the Cleveland County Courthouse, Dylan Rivera, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Dylan. Another breaking story this afternoon, the state tourism director has submitted his resignation to Governor Kevin Stitt. Jerry Winchester was appointed by the governor to head the Oklahoma Tourism and Recreation Department shortly after Stitt was elected. In recent days, Oklahoma lawmakers have called for Winchester to resign. The tourism department is in the center of an investigation involving its partnership with Swadley's Foggy Bottom Kitchen restaurants. The restaurants were located in several of Oklahoma's state parks, which are owned and operated by the tourism department. A state audit and criminal investigation are underway regarding how Swadley's was awarded the multi-million-dollar contract by the tourism department.
And an American has been killed in the front lines of Ukraine. The former U.S. Marine was fighting alongside Ukrainians as a hired gun.
What a devastating piece of news this has to be for them, for anybody to lose a son, a brother.
22-year-old Willie Joseph's Cancel's mother says he signed up for war because he believed in what Ukraine was fighting for. Meanwhile, a Russian bomb in Mariupol collapsed parts of a steel plant and striking a field hospital inside. The mayor says more than 600 people are hurt. Ukraine officials also say a Russian missile barrage injured several people in Kyiv around the same time as a high-profile meeting between the Ukrainian president and UN's chief.
And former President Donald Trump has responded after being asked to turn in documents relating to possible civil tax fraud. Dacoda McDowell-Wahpekeche has that story and the rest of today's headlines from around the world.
Thanks, Bella. Former President Donald Trump says he does not have any documents that he needs to turn over to the New York Attorney General's office. Trump was asked to turn in financial statements that will allow New York's Attorney General to look into possible civil tax fraud. The judge on the case ordered Trump to turn in the documents or be held in civil contempt and be fined $10,000 a day. Trump has appealed that order, but it was denied. And in Illinois, a man is facing homicide charges for killing 3 people last year, and police say it was random. 20-year-old Joseph Guzman is charged with the killing of 2 people in September 2020 and another a month later. State police say that Guzman possibly didn't have any care or respect for human life. They say he killed 2 21-year-olds in Wentworth, Illinois. And in Cicero, local officers say he killed a 3rd victim while seeking rival gang members in the area with a 17-year-old. Google is allowing people to remove their personal information from searches. Users can request Google to remove their phone numbers, email addresses, physical addresses, and login credentials. Google has already allowed the removal of bank and credit card information, plus medical records. The company says they believe the ability to view personal contact info can be used in harmful ways. Google also says doing this won't remove your personal information from the internet entirely, and that users may want to connect to hosting sites as well. And NASDAQ has had its worst month since 2008, dropping down 3.5%. This may be the time to sell your shares or buy in bulk and hold. Dana, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Dacoda. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and cases in Oklahoma are rising.
We'll tell you one OU student's story next on OU Nightly.
Plus, an OU organization was spreading random acts of kindness this week. Find out how they finished off this week with a relaxing event.
April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and as Oklahoma's reported cases continue to rise, the number of those not reported grows on OU's campus. I talked with one OU student about some of her story.
One second you're surrounded by hundreds, but for sexual assault victims, life on college campuses can seem very alone. One student who talked to us says life became difficult after she was assaulted.
It's something that you never forget about, so it makes day-to-day life a lot harder.
And the activities she once found fun, she now says are anything but.
Going through something like that makes you really paranoid, and so going out can be hard to enjoy as much as you were able to before the fact.
Oklahoma has over 2,000 reported cases so far this year, and as April's Sexual Assault Awareness Month is coming to a close, I asked OU's Police Department and Gender and Equality Center why they aren't doing their part to spread awareness, and I received the same response from both of their offices, redirecting me to the resource page. OU PD statistics showed there were 28 reported sexual assault cases on campus in 2021 and 6 so far in 2022. Investigators say that there are far more people who do not report. The victim I talked to said that she is one of the people who did not report her case, saying it's harder than it seems.
Having to relive that situation by reporting it is something that is a lot of effort to have to go through, and for me personally, I didn't even know the last name, so just the thought of having to go through that entire process seemed like it would end up hurting me more than it would help me.
And when asked what she would tell her past self or anyone going through something similar, she said,
"It really is a good idea to reach out, try to find people who have gone through the same type of situation and have someone to talk to, and also that it's not their fault."
If you or anyone you know needs help, the national 24-hour hotline is 1-800-656-4673.
And today is the last day of Campus Activity Council Sparks Random Acts of Kindness Week. The organization held an event to help students and faculty unwind with yoga in the park. Participants brought their own yoga mats and flocked to Burr Park outside of the dorms this morning. With finals week approaching, CAC Spark hopes that this week and today's event promoted healthy habits.
I think yoga was a good thing to end out our week just because it's a relaxation activity that will just get everybody ready to go into this next week and start studying and getting ready for finals.
And even though it's the last day of CAC Sparks Random Acts of Kindness Week, please remember to be kind to yourself and everyone around you as the semester comes to an end.
And one Oklahoma City couple walked down the aisle for their wedding, but it's not the aisle you might expect. Find out how this couple got married 37,000 feet in the air, straight ahead on OU Nightly.
Plus, Norman is facing severe weather threats over the next few days. Peyton, what can we see this evening?
Well, right now, clear skies, but that's not going to be the case coming in a few hours. Strong, severe storms expected to impact the area, maybe even a tornado or two. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Right now, looking at the radar, there is nothing across the state of Oklahoma. However, storms are starting to get the initial fuel they need to set up. Here in Kansas, you can see storms starting to pop up. Even a tornado watch has been issued. So all week, we've been talking about the cap, and for today to happen, the cap needs to break. So one of the biggest things to help break that cap is the cape. I know, sounds a little familiar, but they are different. So you can see just how strong that cape is. And throughout the evening, it's going to lessen. And then as the cold front makes its way through, it's going to be almost entirely gone. So these dew points, once again, another fuel for these storms and breaking that cap. You can see 65 dew points here in Oklahoma City, but behind the dry line where they won't get any storms in these single digits. It's very dry out there and very humid here in Oklahoma. You can see that it's going to make its way through as the cold front makes its way through the state. Right now, there is no tornado watch issued for Oklahoma, but that is subject to change. We've been talking to the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center. Parts of central Oklahoma will be under a tornado watch going into later tonight, which is why an enhanced risk is issued in northern Oklahoma. Slight risk here for us in the metro. The biggest risk for that is going to be wind. Stronger winds up north, gusty winds here, even tornado outlooks. It's low, it's never zero. So you need to keep that in mind. Last weekend, we had a lot of tornadoes. Even hail is a big factor. Going into Sunday, we're going to do it all over again. Slight risk for western Oklahoma. To time it out tonight, you can see storms starting to develop in Lawton in the next hour. That cold front makes its way through the state tonight, pushes its way out. Your Saturday is going to be the best day because Sunday, once again, more severe weather. Monday, more severe weather. Even Wednesday, we have another risk of severe weather. Your dead week is not going to be all nice, sunshiny, because we have chances of rain pretty much almost every day of the week. Before next Friday, we finally clear out.
Thanks, Peyton. An Oklahoma City couple on their way to get hitched in Vegas had their wedding plans take a turn when their connecting flight was canceled.
An ordained minister overheard what was happening and offered to marry them himself on the plane.
The whole flight crew decorated the plane with toilet paper streamers while a flight attendant stood in as the maid of honor.
Well, that's it from us. Thank you all for tuning in with us every day, every Friday this semester. We're sad to say goodbye, but happy to hit it over to Big Friday Sports.
Sooner baseball is back in Norman this weekend, and Parker Abels is here to tell us about the Big 12 matchup.
Now, today on Big Friday Sports, the baseball team has some big visitors on the mound. And the OU spring game was last Saturday, and Sooner fans showed out. Stay tuned. Big Friday Sports is next. Hello and welcome to Big Friday Sports. I'm Parker Abels.
And I'm Madeline Hunter.
For our last show of the semester, we're going to talk a lot of national sports today, but we're going to start off locally with OU baseball.
The Sooners have a 3-game home series against Kansas State this weekend, and there's a lot to look forward to at Eldell Mitchell Park for the weekend. Big Friday Sports' Carly Murray is live at the field. Carly?
Now QB1 Dylan Gabriel will be throwing out the first pitch, and tomorrow the national champion women's gymnastics team will be throwing the first pitch and signing pregame autographs. And tomorrow is Bark in the Park, so come bring your puppy and enjoy some baseball. Now yesterday I caught up with head coach Skip Johnson, and he told me about the excitement surrounding Dylan Gabriel throwing the first pitch tonight.
For him to be here, there's no doubt. I mean, he's one of the high-profile guys on the football team. It's going to be fun to watch. If his arm works good, then we might go put him in a uniform so he can pitch a little bit for us. I got to figure out how to put him on the 30-man, but no, it's. I think it's going to be exciting. It'll be exciting for our fans to see him.
The Sooners are looking for their second straight Big 12 series win. They've won the last 5 out of 7 games, but lost to ORU on Tuesday. The Sooners' first pitch is at 6:30 with Dylan Gabriel. Reporting live outside L. Mitchell Park, Carly Murray, OU Nightly.
The MLB has suspended Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer for 324 games for sexual assault allegations, Commissioner Rob Manfred announced earlier today. Bauer has been on a 10-month administrative leave since the allegations started in July of 2021.
Bauer has denied all allegations against him, but was not enough to shorten his suspension. This is the longest suspension in the 6-year history of the league's domestic violence policy. The top-ranked Sooner softball team is hitting the road for to Lawrence for a date with the Jayhawks. The 42-1 Sooners are currently beating the Jayhawks 7-0 in the 7th inning.
They have 2 more games in the series, one being tomorrow at 2 p.m. and the other Sunday at noon. The Sooners are coming off a sweep of Iowa State last week and are riding their 4-game win streak. The OU men's and women's track and field teams will head down to College Station, Texas for the Texas A&M Alumni Muster tomorrow. The meet will begin at 12:30 with women's hammer, while running events including women's 100-meter hurdles begins at 6:45 p.m. The Sooners are expected to have 49 athletes compete.
The Sooner Nation showed out to kick off the Brent Venables era at the spring game last weekend. OU Nightly's Maddie D'Addario has more on the record-breaking crowd in the Palace.
What we need to make the Palace an absolute nightmare for opponents.
Seeing Gaylord Family Memorial Stadium packed on a fall day, that's typical, but getting a crowd like this for a spring game? Well, that's thanks to new OU football head coach Brent Venables, who urged Sooner fans to, quote, pack the Palace. And with over 75,000 fans in attendance, Sooner Nation did just that.
That crowd today was on fire. That was pretty amazing. 75,360, 20+ thousand more than the previous record. So just shows the passion, the love that the Sooner fans and supporters have for their university.
From the outside looking in, many have taken to social media to say, who cares about spring game attendance? But the smile on QB1's face when talking about last weekend's atmosphere is enough to understand why a fan base's passion matters.
For sure, I was notified that it would be, the lower bowl and that would be packed, and, I was going to be surprised for that. But the moment I saw them open up the top and, that whole stadium be packed, just like, a game day.
The number of people in attendance was enough to be impressive itself, but Venables says the passion of the fans is truly what makes a difference for the team and its future.
And but our players and their families and recruits and really anybody that's going to get a hold of that information, just as far as what the attendance figures are, and not only just a lot of people here, but passionate. That's what I noticed. You could, it was like a big game.
This year's spring game in Norman served as a reminder that OU football goes beyond the players, beyond the coaches, and that Sooner Nation as a whole can determine the success of this program.
Man, it's just a great feeling to know Sooner Nation's got our back, and like everyone says,
there's only one Oklahoma.
For OU Nightly, Maddie D'Addario.
If the fall is anything like the spring game, the Palace will for sure be rocking next season.
And coming up on Big Friday Sports, the NBA playoffs rage on. And the first round of the NFL draft was last night, and we're going to tell you all about it. Stay tuned as Big Friday Sports continues.
Welcome back to Big Friday Sports. If you're heading out to the baseball game tonight, that might be in jeopardy with the severe weather coming in. But Saturday, that is the best week ahead for the next entire week. Sunday, more rain Sunday night into Monday, severe weather threat once again, and even another severe weather threat on Wednesday. You can tell it is May in Oklahoma, so really any of these outdoor sports are in jeopardy, and this is something they are going to have to deal with for the rest of their season. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Peyton. The first round of the NFL draft was last night, and the top 5 was all about the defense. The Jags started it off taking Georgia edge Trayvon Walker with the first pick, shocking the NFL world. The Lions kept Michigan Heisman runner-up Aiden Hutchinson in the state, taking him second.
Third and fourth were for the cornerbacks as the Texans took LSU corner Derek Stingley Jr. and the Jets took Ahmad Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati at 4. Then the Giants rounded out the top 5, taking Oregon defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau. And with the NFL draft comes some huge trades. Former Sooner wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown is reuniting with his former teammate Kyler Murray in Arizona. The Ravens trade Hollywood to the Cardinals for the 23rd pick in the draft.
In another headliner, the Philadelphia Eagles acquired wideout A.J. Brown from the Tennessee Titans for the 18th and 101st pick in the draft. Eagles fans sure will be celebrating after having a huge day in the draft. Only one first-round series remains in the NBA playoffs. The Memphis Grizzlies are heading to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves tonight in Game 6. The Grizzlies lead the series 3-2 after Ja Morant's game winner in Game 5. If they win the series today, they'll face the Warriors in round 2, but if Minnesota wins, they'll force a Game 7.
And not all heroes wear capes, some wear OU jerseys. Former OU running back Marquise Dupree found himself in the right place at the right time when he helped to extract a woman from her vehicle following a high-speed crash on the Turner Turnpike. Dupree was in Norman over the weekend for the spring game, and he said that he called 911 and took her out of the car.
Thanks for watching Big Friday Sports. I'm Parker Abels. We had a great semester.
And I'm Madeline Hunter. Thanks for sticking with us for the semester. Good night.